Greetings, YouTube. Like so many of you, it's still hard to believe when you look at your 6-star roster that when you filter in champions next year, there'll be an extra star, right? Under 6-star, it'll say 7-star. And for quite a few people, that's just not something that people are interested in doing. Too much of starting over, similar to how people felt from 5 stars to 6 stars. I think the interesting thing about 6 stars is that there were no Cavalier featured crystals when the game came out. 0. So, when those came out, it was hard to compare them to 5 stars because it was a different economy. But now that they're out, instead of featured Cavalier, since we started with featured Grandmaster, you're thinking about featured Thronebreaker, or who knows, maybe they'll skip Thronebreaker and just go featured Paragon, just go straight featured Wallet Breaker. I doubt it. But regardless, I was curious how the community felt about 7 stars. And I was recently sent this forum post by a couple of people that said, Prof, you should cover this as it is a really interesting discussion and debate by important people in the community. So I thought, okay, let's talk about it. And shout out to Console, who's one of the people who sent this my way. Why are people upset about 7 stars is the question. Literally people you've been playing for years, quitting over 7 stars. If you can't play a game that changes things up, why do you play it? So Wheatman doesn't have much sympathy for the people who are threatening to leave. Now, as you can imagine, that kind of fairly provocative question doesn't go ignored from several in the community. Colin Whitworth says because setting their hair on fire is their default response to every change in the game. So you take something that's volatile and it's maybe a 9 and you raise it to a 12 with the second comment. General Napa, probably because if they're whales, they've spent thousands making their roster the best. They likely can't or don't want to spend the same amount for only a chance at replicating that roster at a higher rarity for a higher price. Now, you took 2 fairly aggressive questions and comments, and then you put one that I think is, a little less tempered and more reasonable. Not to say the first 2 weren't reasonable, they just were a little provocative. Fit Fun says, I think it's the general disappointment which consists of not really an innovative progression of the game. It's like starting all over anew collecting champs. Imagine you pull a 7-star Drax or Groot. Well, that's inevitable. For myself, I can say that I am not really amused as well. My whole alliance is more annoyed than excited. I keep saying exited instead of excited, so I'm thankful somebody else has made that mistake. But yeah, the hope is now on Ascension, and that's how I feel too. Ascension has the most optimistic feelings from my perspective. ETM34 says, like they did when 4 stars were top, then 5 stars, 6 stars, now 7 stars, it's nothing new. Personally, I'm ready to go at this champ acquisition game again. Getting all new champs will feel so much better than adding Sigs to Drax and Wasp over and over. So that is the counter argument, especially to collectors. They feel like they've hit a wall. And when you only release 2 new champions a month, and it's almost impossible to get 6-star versions unless you spend a ton in the featured calves and get lucky, or spend a ton in the arena, this will give people a chance. I still say, and I'll say this again, I have seen people clear all content with 5 stars. 5 stars are still valuable, and until Kabam, hopefully they don't do this, bans them like they did 4 stars to Act 6 and above, I'm not worried about it at all. I also don't think 4 stars would have done well at all in Act 6, which is why I was shocked that Kabam banned them, because for synergy purposes, they really would have only been there because their health and their attack were just too low. The chatter of forums, I'm not going to quit over 7 stars, but it has caused me to have a decreased interest in the game. The reason is many of us have been playing for many years. 6 years myself. I just celebrated my 7-year anniversary at the time of playing the game, at the time of this forum post, October 3rd. The introduction of 7 stars means that those of us with stacked rosters have a feeling that our rosters will be outdated fairly soon. Keep in mind it took people thousands of play hours and thousands of dollars to get these top-notch among best in the game rosters. After 7 stars come out, we in some ways have to start over. That includes grinding or paying for 7 stars, having to start over in the RNG circus of hoping to get ones we want, trying to awaken those champions, and then getting SIGs for those champs. The whole process sounds like a nightmare for many of us. Personally, I won't be quitting the game over this, but I won't be spending anymore. Didn't spend much to begin with, but did spend at times. I've also felt my interest greatly decrease since the announcement, and I've stopped grinding as I've lost motivation for trying to keep a top roster, knowing that my roster will soon be playing second fiddle with 7 stars. Knowing I won't be spending for the shiny new 7-star toys, I know it's only a matter of time before my current OP roster is outdated. With Ascension, maybe not as fast as you'd think. World Eater says because people don't want to chase another rarity of champ. They've already got 2 to 5 stars plus 6 stars. The Bear 123 would be fine if we needed them for content. We are yet to have content that you can't complete with rank 3 6 stars. Skitty 212 says, and if you believe this and you clearly pay attention to the unthoughtful negative comments only, many of which are made by yourself to instigate threads. So these are fighting words. Again, when Colin Whitworth 69 said because setting their hair on fire is their default response to every change in the game, that was lumping in everything with a generalization, which I know pretty well because some people only watch critical reviews of offers on my channel and just think that I live to complain about the game. They don't see any of the positive videos that I grade, from offers to just general appreciation for content, like the positive video I did this week talking about how wonderful the trophy token return to just attempting Battlegrounds fights and rewarding every single Battlegrounds fight, especially when you spend 15 energy, has gotten me back to doing 3 Battlegrounds fights every couple days. And getting 1 to 2 free 6-star generic 6-stones from it is amazing. I don't see a negative from that. And then Chatter Forum says, I just happened to see another post you did recently. Woo! Excuse me. Apparently I'm allergic to 7 stars. Talking about your very first 6-star. This helps me understand why you're excited about 7 stars, as you haven't invested much time or money in the game. You don't have to worry about resources, time, money spent on 6 stars, as your only 6 stars is Kamala Khan. Put yourself in the mindset of those of us that have 150 to 200 6-star champs and Paragon players with 4 or more rank 4 6 stars. Would you be happy if you worked or spent so much effort on getting depreciated based on 7 stars coming? And then, curious if you feel the same way about 4 stars, 5 stars when they came out. And then we have a little bit of controversy, because we have from Dr. B a direct comparison from 6 and 7 stars to cell phones, saying, so we shouldn't have come out with smart cell phones and just stick with old, stupid push-button cell phones? Talking about how progression is inevitable. And I do think it's inevitable. I think that 7 stars, I would have expected more a year from now, and I would have expected Relics and Ascension to be starters. So this is, it was a lot of news to process, let's be honest. But as I would for 2 reasons. The game can't stay at the 6-star level. It would stagnate and die. It's how you progress towards higher difficulties and higher base stats. I'm not trying to rank and level every single character. I rank or level up who I like to play around with, and once 7-star drops, who's to say I don't pull a Hercules as a 7-star when I've yet to pull a 5 or 6-star version. And then Bitter Steel says, I'm someone with 150 to 206 stars and 7 rank 4s with 2 more on the way. I'm happy for 7 stars coming out because I have almost every 6-star I want. I would guess that you may feel the same in a few years' time, where if 7 stars hadn't come out, you would feel bored going after only 6 stars. I understand this viewpoint gets disagreed with, and you probably won't think it now, but let's wait a couple of years. I'm the father, you're the child. Wait till you're older and wiser, with a better roster, and then you'll agree with my wisdom. Because you could copy and paste your message and change only the 6 stars to 5 stars, it would fit right in with the complaints about 6 stars being added and people having 150 to 205 stars that would be devalued by 6 stars. And that is true. We've seen the same argument now as we did a few years ago. But basically, this forum post keeps going on and on and on, and it's pretty steamy. I mean, this is getting a lot of attention. And I would just say, Jeremy3186, I'm going to read this as the final comment. I see both sides of this. The pro is it progresses the game, breaks down a forthcoming dead end, and gives another dragon to chase to keep people interested. The cons, there are people that have spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars chasing 6-star champs. Others have spent countless hours grinding arena chasing those same champs in a few months. It'll work and money will be flushed down the toilet. My personal counter to is if you buy a car in 2021, you'll be mad that that 2022 version with upgrades? Question mark. We use a lot of car analogies on this channel. More or less, adding a new tier of champs resets the board and puts everyone in-game players back at 0. Every champion 5-star and below becomes obsolete to those players, and if you have to restart everything you did 2 years ago all over again, for some, this is a new challenge. For others, it's screw it, I'm done. We've seen that historically. I think most of the comments on here are reasonable, but it does annoy me when people comment on the forums with incendiary language and then they're surprised when it incites people. Like, duh, it's human nature. You can't just expect people to ignore it. Understand and own up to your words. As a YouTuber, I try to do the same thing. And I know that my channel is the McDonald's of MCFC. It puts information out fast, hot, and sometimes wrong. It's hopefully easily digestible, but certainly not like a steak. Or like, maybe I should say like brisket that's cooked for X amount of hours slowly. I know what I am, and I know what my lane is, and I do my best to stick to it without trying to pretend to be something else. I'd like to think that's why my channel is still as watched and successful as it is. The bottom line is this, though. It's inevitable that 7 stars are coming. I still think 5 stars are valuable at this point. Maybe not for Alliance War or Battlegrounds, even though I still see them in Battlegrounds. But for clearing content in general, yeah. And I think with Ascension, 6 stars will still be valuable in 5 years. Maybe I'll look back on this video and say I was wrong, but I'm willing to put that out there. If the game is still around in 2027, 6 stars, particularly with this Ascension mechanic, will still be coveted. And that's my hope. Maybe I'm too much of an optimist at this point, but that's what I'm going with. Thanks for all the comments on this. Console, thanks for the info. Thanks for watching.